Protect your home from home. Simple Caravan Insurance, sponsors of the Caravan Channel.
John Wickersham is the man behind the Haynes manuals for caravans, motorhomes and more. He's a difficult man to track down because he's always so busy. But we did it. We tried to find out why he's considered to be a guru for caravanners and motorhomers. John started off life as a university lecturer in sports science. So John, how on earth did you get into caravaning?
Well, I must say thank you, Dad, because in the 50s he took me for a holiday in a caravan, the whole of the family. He didn't dare tow it, mind. It was on the site. And then as a young man, being a little bit fed up with getting wet in tents and loving the outdoors for my canoeing and my hill climbing, I decided to buy a pre-owned caravan. And with 4 children, that's how they learnt to ski, thanks to the Ken Gorms and the facilities there, and I couldn't have done that in a tent.
And from caravanning, you moved on into writing about it. How did that develop?
Well, it's a strange story really, because I've always liked to build things, and I built canoes and I built this house, and I started to write in a magazine on house building. And the editor phoned one day and said, look, we're launching a caravan magazine as well, and there in the side of the house there's a caravan park. Do you know anything about caravaning? And I said, well, a little bit, yes. And so I started writing for a caravan magazine, and that would have been way back in about 1983.
I know that you've just finished a new edition of the Haynes Motor Caravan manual. How do you go about putting the manual together?
Well, in a sense, really, a lot of the work has been done in the magazines over the months, the fitting of a fridge or the checking of this or the servicing. And I do spend a lot of time taking photographs. I'm always taking photographs.
Photographs are very important in the Haynes magazine.
Well, in magazines now, a lot of the articles are what they call photo-led in the trade, rather than a lot of words, a lot of text. And Haynes manuals, of course, have always been clustered with photographs, including sequential photographs showing how things are done. And I always joke and say that my wrinkly hands appear in so many of the shots. For one good reason, I hold the camera in one hand and the one wrinkly hand in the other hand, if you see what I mean.
And how have the manuals changed over the years? When was the first one that you wrote? When did that come out?
It came out in 1993, and it comprised something like 450 black and white photographs, all of which I developed in my little darkroom here. And then bit by bit, they found that it was possible to produce colour photographs within the budget. And bit by bit, the caravan manual, and then later the motor caravan manual, became increasingly pictorial and more colourful as well. And colours are so important when you're looking, for example, at the colours of cables going into an appliance. And so they get bigger and fatter. The latest one you mentioned is, I think, going to 212 words, and it's actually gone over the 500 photographs.
No. Okay. Well, a lot of caravanners and motorhomes aren't really that interested in the practical aspects of the vehicles. Is there any reason why they should buy a manual?
Well, to be completely truthful, some of the items in there are explaining tasks that you as an owner shouldn't do anyway. For instance, working with gas. But you have to be practical if you are a caravaner or a motorhome owner, because you've got to change the gas cylinders. And I do also believe that it helps immensely if you know how the repairs are carried out. So when you book in your caravan or your motorhome with a dealer, you're already aware the sort of work that's going to be involved in the repair.
That's a very
and
good
you
point.
then know things like the cost that it's going to entail, and you can even talk the language.
Exactly. Okay. With the handbooks, what's the difference between the Haynes guides and the handbooks?
I think most writers recommend caravanners or people thinking of caravanning to start with a pre-owned or second-hand model. And it's the same with motorhomes, which are very expensive. You wouldn't go out if you weren't sure if you liked the activity by buying a 60,000 model. You buy a second-hand one. And typically when you buy it, the original owner's manual is missing. Or maybe it wasn't a very good one anyway. So the feature about the handbooks are they explain, first of all, how to buy it, where to keep it, some of the issues involved if you're towing, how you need to modify the car, but without doing it yourself, of course. And then where do you store it? And what about the accessories like awnings? Things like awnings are used on both caravans and motorhomes. They're not mentioned in the manual because that's a repair thing.
One of the manuals that you've written for Haynes is entitled How to Build Your Own Motor Caravan. And you didn't just write the book, you built the motor caravan as well.
Well, it's one of those funny things. I like using my hands, and I had mucked about and built 3 cars from kits, I hasten to add. And we certainly couldn't afford owning a caravan. We couldn't afford to buy a motorhome as well. And then a kit came up on the market. So I built that first. And yes, we enjoyed it, and we owned both, caravan and motorhome. And then I wanted to build a state-of-the-art one. And I wanted to build it right from a brand new bare chassis and to develop it in a way that I felt some of the models on sale weren't actually developed perhaps as they should. So I experimented with all kinds of different heating systems and solar systems and so on. And it took a long time to build.
John, thanks ever so much for sparing some time. I know you're really, really busy. It's been great. But before I go, I've got a little problem with one of the taps in my motorhome. Any chance you could have a look?
Yeah, if you insist. But look, you're a practical man, Andy, and I'm sure I can find the page here for you. Yeah, yes, look. How to repair your dodgy taps. Get on, read it, and take it all in.
Thanks a lot, John.